it feels like they just have so many core issues and so many problems with how they organize things and produce things. It's like there's clearly certain things that are locked in stone, like the cinematics. I feel like they're just sat on cinematics going, these are what we do because we're Blizzard, so they have to be set in stone and perfect, and all the effort has to go into them. And then they kind of scuff it by not giving them the due, not giving enough context to cinematics. Because that's exactly the thing with the 10.2 cinematic, right? With Farak. It was really well executed. It does everything right in the small scale. But you don't know what the fuck the Druids of the Flame are doing. You only know they're Druids of the Flame if you know they're Druids of the Flame because you're following the game. Yeah, I was about to say parasocially. That's not the term. What's the term? You're following the game like community-wise outside of anywhere else. That's it.
All anyone knows is that there's deep, throaty, cool music that's menacing, and they're red, and red is bad.
There's red night elves chanting, and then some runes appear on the thing, and then he cuts his way into the Emerald Dream and sees a Mirror Still and everything's on fire. And you go, right, sweet, that's cool, that's fine, but his dialogue rings so hollow because we don't know what he means by his brothers trying to control him, because his brother said, yo, Frack, don't go get some Shadow Flame. And Frack went, fucking hell yeah, brother, let's do it. And that was it. And you're like, what? Also, what's the deal with the axe? Where'd the axe come from?
It's the Farax.
Where'd it come from?
Woo!
It's not cool.
Woo!
Like they did a good job with what they could, like showing it and the forging of it and putting the rune on it and like that. But they didn't set up this axe that was going to happen.
Yeah.
They didn't like make it apparent that's what he was building when he did all that fiery stuff all over the place and did all the sharpening.
Fuck yeah, the Suffusion
He was
my god!
Because he was making himself. It was very heavily implied that
Deathwing armor.
He was making himself Deathwing armor.
Where's his Deathwing armor?
It's an axe now.
His Deathwing armor's an axe.
Because he doesn't have Deathwing armor.
So when do we...
Unless we don't kill him and he puts Deathwing armor later.
Do you think there may have been a story about this at some point before it got cut?
I think there may have been... Yeah.
Do you think that Fury Incarnate maybe was a patch that was supposed to have some Fury Incarnate?
Or he does have new armor. He used the axe to tear a hole into the dream, so it's not completely pointless. Plot and story are different. That's the plot. That's fine. He used the axe, tore a thing to the dream. It's very obvious that the reason it was able to do that was because there were night elves there who did some chanting, which I know to be Druids of the Flame. But we don't know the Druids of the Flame are there. No. In game. We are told that by interviews and PTR content before the cinematic comes out. That's the part that's really, like, kind of insane. That's the part that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Man,
how do you...
We've been talking about this being a disjointed mess before we kind of knew any of this.
Yeah.
And now that we know this, it's all the more completely unhinged. Actually, we should probably talk about that for Axe Cinematic, shouldn't we?
Probably should, yeah.
Like, sort of properly. Is there anything else to talk about with the War of the Scaleborn that... I mean, no, there isn't. There isn't. The last point is just, look at this timeline. Did the plan change? Who knows?
Go read the patch notes. I'm not getting my fucking game story from patch notes. Fuck off. Straight up. That... You're supposed to tell your game story in your game. If you're not, like, okay, you can tell it in your books. You can tell additional story in your books. You can tell additional stories and short stories on your website. Or fucking you can tweet. You can tweet stories.
Anything. We'll take anything.
But they have to be additional on top of stuff, right? It has to be there. You can't just be like, fuck it, people have seen the PTR. They know the story. Because that is the most... It's going to be intense, literally. Then why did they show us the fucking cinematic? Show us the cinematic in the game when we're supposed to experience it.
No, it's a trailer.
Yeah.
And a cinematic. It's everything. It's all in one.
Yeah, so if this is a trailer, then why is it a trailer that shows us shit from the middle of the fucking movie that we're like, we see this before there's any context? it's the same thing as watching a terrible... It's the same thing they did with the start of Dragonflight, where they recut the fucking opening cinematic.
Oh, they did!
Where they recut the opening cinematic, where they said, right, so, you know the way this cinematic has a story, and it builds up tension, and you see Koranos, as you know him, or Stony Tony back in the day before he had a name. You see him go... And he goes on this heroic journey, this self-sacrifice to climb the tower and to do the thing that Thor did in the Marvel movie because they have no fucking sense of creativity whatsoever, originality. That's a bit unfair because I actually thought it was okay. Puts it together and he...
It's just a snipe for the crack.
Yeah, and he falls to his doom. And you're not sure if he's going to make it. And that's tension. That's feeling. That's you going, that guy was a hero. Is he going to have some... Is a sacrifice, or will he be okay? What is it? And you worry for him because he shows you that he's a good stone thing. You go, okay, well, I empathize with him. That's the point of this cinematic story. It's a very small story, but it's a story. And then the dragons swoop in and he's saved at the last second. And that makes you feel relief because you go... That's karma. He did the right thing and it wasn't a sacrifice. He was saved. The dragons are good. The dragons were there in time. They're incredibly fast. They can get there. This is absolutely fantastic. This is a great happy ending to a story of heroism. In the version that they uploaded after they showed it to us, there was a very short section at the start where it showed him being caught in what was basically a sizzle reel for 3 seconds before a minute or two cinematic actually started. Which completely destroys the whole sense of tension because you know that he's caught. There's not all of it because you can still experience the story despite knowing what happens. But they go out of their way to literally just go, all right, fuck it. Whoops. We just showed you the point. So you don't feel, when you're trying to watch that, you don't feel the tension. You don't feel that relief. You don't feel anything. It's just shit happening on your fucking screen. And that's the problem that keeps happening here. Because they go, fuck it, BlizzCon. The patch is after BlizzCon. What do I release a cinematic? Why? Because all we have are cinematics. Because that's how we think we tell our fucking stories. At least in the grand narrative sense. And that's just how it is. And that's why I'm so mad at this. Because imagine if you didn't know any of this.
Yeah.
And it was brought up to you in some capacity. Imagine if this was a story woven that you experienced and you had some ideas that the Druids of the Flame were involved, but you didn't know that they were planning a grand betrayal so strong that it would let Farak attempt to burn a Mirdrasil. Because that is betrayal. That is the biggest betrayal you could possibly imagine for a Night Elf. That is, here's our future. Our future has hope for the first time. As much as you think it might be a bit dumb or stupid as a plot point, whatever, this tree is the fucking the symbol of our future, and people who are us are helping him destroy it. Right? That's a story, and they deprived you of experiencing that by going, "Look, it just happened." No context.
NASA meme.
Here's some fucking red Night Elves.
You are the story all along.
Yeah, like
because Matt. None of us are real. We only exist as part of your mental illness to torment you on this earth.
Yeah, like
Warcraft doesn't exist. Chris Metzen is just the concept of hope in your brain. He doesn't actually exist. I'm not real. We're all just in Matt's head. As usual.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. That would be very good. I just don't. Like,
this is very weird.
Yeah, and this is the part that frustrates me, right? The reason I get so like angry. I'm not really that angry. A lot of it is for show and effect. I'm definitely a bit angry. I'm just amping up a bit. But yeah, you're all my tulpas. Yeah, that would make sense. So the frustration is because I really like very good stories, and I really like people who get to be creative and impactful and stuff, and they get to express themselves. I really like video games that have incredible stories because they're wonderful. One of the one of the biggest reasons I'm a really huge fan of Final Fantasy XIV is I love the game in a bunch of different ways. But the thing that really drove home more than anything else was clearly the story and the love for the world that they had. And the thing that it said over the course of a dozen expansions, not a dozen expansions, that's far too many. It was a couple. So what they did over expansions was tell a story. And they plotted through a lot of hard work, through a lot of effort. They put a whole lot of details together and they drew together themes that were personally impactful to people. And that's one of the reasons that is such there's such a diehard fan base to that. There's a lot of reasons, but a lot of it is because it's an impactful, meaningful story. And that's what World of Warcraft was to people.
Yes.
That's what Warcraft was to people tonight.